Hey everyone, welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. In today's episode, we're going to be studying a piece by the career illustrator known as Meelayya or Meelayya, and in this episode, we're going to be looking at this abstract color with roots found in Fauvism. We're also going to explore the symbolism of the shepherd, so let's jump right into it. So at first sight, we see what appears to be three figures kind of cowering in the lower right region of the composition. We also see this lone red figure high in the upper region. We'll go a bit deeper about it here in a second. It is kind of a strained introduction that is no doubt even jarring in some way as well. There's a lot of different colors working within the work at hand. And like I said, the use of space here, we have this lower region, which appears to be behind a bush or a tree of some kind. And of course, we have the accents as well. That blue-green is going to be the base of this composition. And upon that, we have accents such as red and accents such as pink and yellow, all of which define the forms of our subject quite clearly. And I talked a little bit about color, right? Color is so important within this composition. We see everything from this blue-green base to this hot pink. We have yellow, gold. We have red within this composition. There's so much going on here. And so this no doubt kind of fights for the viewer's attention. This is incredibly important as well. And to understand this work, we have to look at the Fauvists. The Fauvists really found their roots in Impressionism, Post-Impressionism, and then going into the 20th century, of course, the 1900s, we had the Fauvists. For example, I have a work by Matisse. Matisse is a very famous Fauvist. Of course, he used that intensification of color to show different elements of emotion, right? It's extremely abstract, and this work is even more abstract in that respect as well. You have a wild use of color within this composition. And of course, within Matisse work, you can see that as well. There is this flow to the composition, quite reminiscent of the natural scenes of nature, which we typically seen in Impressionism. But yeah, it's a stunning piece. I just want to bring that in real quick to talk about the abstract color in the use of the Fauvists. So that's just so important within this composition. The clashing of these different color schemes, so relevant to this composition here. Of course, blue and green are going to be working alongside each other, but elements such as gold, this yellowish gold, the red and the hot pink are all going to be contrasting and kind of fighting for the viewer's attention. You may also notice the impact of texture within this work, right? It is rather rough and harsh. We see this everywhere from the background to the lone subject's body, all of which immerse us so well within this work. The medium is kind of reminiscent of pastels. This appears to be a digital illustration or digital painting, but the texture here alone reminds of kind of a colored charcoal or a pastel. But regardless, a stunning composition. I wanted to ask you guys, how do y'all feel when you first viewed this work? Like I said, there are two sections. There appear to be these lone subjects kind of hiding behind a bush or trees of some kind or another. In the distance, we have this meadow with this almost terrifying red subject there. And like I said, they appear to be hiding in some way or another. We see what appears to be a fire in the lower right region of the composition, almost like a bull there and almost like a rabbit being cooked in some way or another. It's hard to see exactly what's going on. Of course, this work is incredibly abstract, so it leaves quite a bit up to interpretation. But regardless, we see various creatures from a canine to maybe even a cat. We see what appear to be deer or some kind of another in the distance there. And of course, that immerses us so well within this composition. And we see these three subjects, right? We have one, we have two, we have three. Those are most reminiscent of the humanoid subjects. And then, of course, we have those kind of animalistic subjects right next to them. The title of this work as Shepherds no doubt points to what we may be witnessing here. Of course, we see the shepherd is normally symbolized as someone who leads sheep. Sheep are typically symbolized as mindless in some way or another. Christ was also a shepherd. So perhaps you have, on the one hand, someone leading sheep, but you also have the other one, such as the image of Christ, is going to be the shepherd who leads people away from danger. It's hard to say exactly what's going on, but like I said, this is a very abstract composition. But my eye is drawn to this lone red figure, of course, in the distance there. He is in the perfect center of this meadow, so that no doubt hints and elevates his form there. He also has this red form, so that kind of pops out against that green backing. There is no doubt about that. It is quite striking within this composition, but it's hard to say exactly what's going on. The vibe that I get from this composition is these three subjects are hiding from this lone red figure, although that's just my interpretation. I want to ask you guys, what do y'all see when you view this composition? What do you think is happening here? Of course, I see as if, maybe one is a shepherd leading them away away from the figure in red, perhaps saving them from evil in some kind or another. That was kind of like what I was hinting at in the symbolism of Christ. But regardless, I wanted to ask you guys, what do y'all see when you view this composition? Like I said, it's very abstract work. Of course, abstraction leads to a hint or an impression of what it's trying to depict, and I think we certainly see that here. There are so many layers to this composition. I even noticed what appears to be a face on the left, although it's hard to say for sure. But regardless, like I said, I want to ask you guys, what do y'all see when you view this stunning work? Regardless, it's a very stunning composition, very abstract, very Fauvist, of course, using that abstract use of color. I keep coming back to that word time and time again, but that is just so necessary to really understand the work at hand. Yeah, like I said, I really hope you'll enjoy today. The work before us, like I hinted at earlier, appears to be a digital painting or digital illustration of some kind or another. It is quite reminiscent of pastels, but that's kind of just what comes to mind for me. Regardless, I really hope y'all enjoyed today. We talked about so many different things, from this wild and almost clashing use of color. We talked about the abstract nature of this work. We talked about the Fauvists and their use of color to display emotion and different elements as well. We talked about the symbolism of the shepherd, and we explored what may be going on within this rather strange work. Like I said, I see these figures hiding behind the bush from this red figure who is clearly elevated within this composition. Regardless, I want to ask you guys, what do y'all see when you view this work? Like I said, I really hope y'all enjoyed. If y'all did, go check out the original artist Meelayya or Meelayya. That's all I have for today. Really hope y'all enjoyed, and if y'all did, go check out the original artist. My name's Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see y'all on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.